About how many times would you test per meet, and what foods would you eat at a meet?
That's a really good question. Competition days are so much different than practice days, I found, in managing diabetes. And that is the contributing factors that account for that is, when you go to a competition, and it doesn't matter if it's a weekend soccer game or the high school state meet or the NCAA championships or the Olympic Games. I went to all of those meets, and each one that I went to, it was the biggest meet of my life at one point, right? So you get the same butterflies in your stomach, you get the same adrenaline, which has a huge effect on blood sugar levels, endorphins that are released from that physical exertion that has a huge effect on blood sugar levels, and then the exercise, the exertion itself has an impact. And so I would get these tremendous spikes on competition days, and not, if it was a competition that I really cared about, I'd get these big spikes, and I'd have to treat that with giving myself large doses of insulin to bring them back down into a range where my body was able to process and get oxygen to my muscles. That required a lot more testing on a competition day. Now they've got continuous blood glucose monitoring, and since my diagnosis, there have been huge developments in technology that make it a little bit easier for us to manage the disease. But back then, I had to test individually or manually, and so some competition days I'd test 20, 25 times in a day, just to make sure that my levels were in range. And then, for a practice day, that can be, to train for the Olympics, I would swim or train for about 6 to 8 hours every single day, 6 days a week. And, it was very, very demanding. And at the Olympic Games, the objective is to test the human capacity. How fast can the human body go? How strong? And so you push yourself to the point of failure, in simpler terms. And so that became our objective every single day. So we were pushing ourselves to the point of failure to where guys that didn't have diabetes were dropping, in the middle of a run, just going face down from exhaustion and exertion. So, to have diabetes on top of that, the aerobic activity can drop your levels tremendously. So, testing through practice was really important too. And, communicating, having an open line of communication with a coach is the most important thing. Because you should never feel ashamed for having to hop out of a practice and run over and test your blood sugar or a competition. So I really encourage that if you're going to go out for a sports team, it doesn't matter what it is, to have that open line of communication with your doctor and your coach.